Dear students, good morning one and all. Today we are going to discuss one of the important topic, type checking. Before we are moving to this topic, we are going to recall the phases of compiler. The third phase of the compiler is semantic analysis. The very important function of semantic analysis is type checking. And also semantic analysis check the each and every construct that has a meaningful construct or not. So today we are going to discuss how the semantic analysis perform the type checking and how it check the meaningness of the other programming construct. Before that, this is a pictorial diagram for a type checking. Type checking, that means semantic analyzer get the input from the parser in the form of syntax tree and also produce a syntax tree without type mismatch error to the intermediate code generator. That is a main function of semantic analyzer. So another name of syntax analyzer is called as type checker. So type checker or otherwise semantic analysis verify the each and every programming construct that is a value that has a equivalent type or not. Otherwise it informs the error to the error handler. Next we are going to discuss some of the important topics in type checking. And type checking can be classified into two types based on the time where we are going to perform the type checking. One is a static checking, another one is a dynamic checking. Static checking means the type checking performed at a compile time. Once the compilers perform the type checking, that program can be executed without any type mismatch error. But another one is a dynamic type checker that check the type of the each and every construct at runtime. Whenever there is a type mismatch error in a runtime, the program execution immediately stopped. So this kind of checking is called as dynamic checking. Static checking further classified into four types. The first one is called as dynamic checking. That is type checking. Type checking means when we are going to use the operator, consider plus. Plus mostly is a binary operator, so it has two operands. One is in the left, another one is in the right. And before we are going to use plus, we are going to check whether the two operands, which type of operands we are going to use for a plus operator. Most probably all of you know that the plus is operator that can add any two numbers. That may be integer number or float number or double or long integer or anything. But whenever we are going to use a modulus operator is a percentage operator that returns a remainder. Modulus operator also has two operands. One is the left side, another one is the right side. So when we are using the modulus operator only accept integer operands in the left side, otherwise right side and right side. If you are using the other types for a modulus operator, it informs the type error. So this kind of verification is called as type checking. Second one is flow of control check. That means suppose you are using break statement in your program. What is the use of break means? Break can exit the switch statement or otherwise looping statement. That means we can move our control from the inside switch or otherwise inside looping statement into outside. Suppose you are using break statement but there is no looping statement and there is no switch statement in your programmings, the break does not work. That time it informs a error. That kind of check is called as flow of control check. Third one is a uniqueness check. That means when we are going to create a object for a class, consider class C1 is an object. Consider C1 is an object. After creating C1, we cannot create an object for a same name. Once again, class C1, when we are going to create this C1 again means this, the language informs the error because all the language informs the error when we are using the same name for the object for a same class. So this kind of verification is called as uniqueness check. Third one is a name related check. is same like a third one, but the language may be different for checking the name related check. That means suppose I am using int a. When I am opening curly brace, I can use the same name int a and close curly brace. Within the open and close curly brace, when I am using the a means the value of a or otherwise declaration get from this part. The out of the brace, suppose I am using a means that get from here. This kind of scope rules are supported by the only few languages like C++, C++ and other languages. Before C languages, this is not permitted. Even I am starting most of the before C languages, most of the languages does not use open and close curly braces. So that's the problem. When I am using the a, once again I am using the a means that informs the error. That means we cannot use the same name within the program, starting otherwise middle or otherwise end of the program. So this kind of check is called as name related check. So these are the static types of static checks. So once the static check is evaluated, during the runtime the compiler never informs the type mismatch errors. So next we are going to discuss type system. Type system means that is a collection of rules how we are going to validate the type mismatch errors. So this is called as type system. So type system is called as collection of rules that assign types to program construct. That means we are going to give a type to the identifier, declaration part, that is data type, expression, statements, functions, array, pointers, or all other program constructors by the collection of rules is called as type system. And second point, language type system specify which operations are valid for which types. The last slide we explained that percentage operator. So percentage operator is only applicable for integer operands. That is the second rule. Third one, the type system provide concise formalization of the semantic checking rules. That means when we are going to array operation, the index of the array should be integer. Otherwise it informs the error. Otherwise it's a meaningless statement. So this kind of statement verification is called as third one. And fourth one, type system provider, already the third one discussed. Fourth one, type rules are defined on the structure of the expressions like a plus b plus c. Consider the a plus b is an integer operands. A and b is an integer operand. So a plus b produce a result as an integer. And consider c is a floating number. So when we are going to perform operation with a integer and float, that returns a float without any data loss. If you are converting integer plus float into integer means that here the data loss may be occurred. So this kind of operation performed by the type checkers. Maybe whenever we are going to perform lower type with a higher type, the result should be a higher type, like integer plus float equal to float. This is the fourth rule. Fifth one, type rules are specific, language specific. That means last slide also we discussed when we are going to use a same name within the other blocks, the C and C++ does not return any errors, but before C language, that language informs the error. So some of the type rules are verified by the language dependent. So next we are going to discuss type expression. Type expression means the type expression may be a basic type or otherwise type constructors. Basic type means the valid data type, int, float, character, and others. Type constructor means some of the construct are derived from the basic types. That means array. Array is derived from the basic data types, pointers, functions, So these kind of data types are called as type constructor. So type expression may be a basic type or otherwise type constructor. Now we are going to discuss each and everything. First, already we discussed type constructor type expression may be a basic type, that may be any valid data type present in a language, and these are the type constructor used in languages. One is array. Consider float a of 10. Everyone know that the array variable may be any data type. There is no rules. The array should be integer or float or some other. So there is no rules. We can choose any kind of any data type as a array variable, but the array size of the array or otherwise index of the array should be a integer. So this is a rule we are going to perform for a array operator. When we are using the array, we may choose any type of array, but index should be a number. That means that is an integer. And second one is a product. Product means when we are going to perform two operations, already we discussed a plus b and c star b. So based on the result of the each and every expression, the complete result may be different. If it is float, the result will be a float. If it is integer and if it is float, the result should be a float. First one is integer and second one is integer, means the result should be integer. So based on the simple expressions, small expression in the longer construct, the result of the whole expression may be different. Next one, records. Records means strict union or in a C class in a C++ or otherwise Java. So normally record consists of different type of data elements like class or otherwise strict class name. It consists of different kind of data elements, and the classes also has a type. So based on the data available in a class, we can derive the data type of the class strict unions. So this is called as record data type. And come to the next one. Next one is a pointer. Whenever we are going to use the pointer, that should be declared first with a data type. Once the data type of the pointer is declared, we can assign the address of the particular data type. Consider int p. So p is a pointer variable. The p can point the address of the only integer variable. Other data type may not be permitted, like int a float c. So p can point only the address of the a, not the address of the c, because c is a float variables. That is the main property of the pointers. So pointer can point the address of the data type of the pointers already declared. So the next one we are going to discuss functions. Function means, suppose fun a. Consider this is a function call. When we are going to call a function with the argument a, so argument has a data type. When the function receive the argument, suppose consider a is a integer, means in the function definition int b. So b should receive the value from the a and b should be same type. If a is a integer, b should be an integer. If a is a float, the data type of b should be a float. So this is called as domain. This is called as domain. Domain means the value passed from the function call to function definition. That is domain. After we are going to perform some operation, we are going to return some value to the calling function. This is a called, this is calling. So when the calling function pass the variable to the called function, that is b receive the value from the a. After performing receiving the value from the calling function, the called function performs all the operation up to the close curly brace. Before the close curly brace, the function may return a value. That return value may be considered as a range. So the type of the function is considered as a domain to range. That means D to R. In a technical form, the function arguments move to the function parameter. After receiving the function parameter, we are going to perform all the executable statement in the functions. After that, we are going to return some value to the calling function. This is called as domain to range. There is a data type of the any function we are going to use. So these are the type expression we are using in the type system. Next we are going to discuss, already we discussed earlier what is static checking, otherwise what is dynamic type checking. Static type checking means the type checking verification is done at compile time, but in a dynamic type checking means the type verification are handled during the runtime. So there are two type of type checking method. One is a static, another one is a dynamic type checkers. Now we are going to discuss error recovery. When the error is detected, particular data type error is detected, there is a type mismatch in your program. Once the error is detected means the semantic analysis immediately inform to the error handler to take proper action. And also publish the complete information about the error into the programmer. Which line the error is present, which kind of error, type of error. So this kind of informations are passed to the user from the error handler. And in additionally, the semantic analyzer pass the information to the error handler to perform recovery actions. Because the compiler never stop the execution of compilation process when the error is occurred. So you are going to allow the compiler to find the next consecutive error, means we are going to recover from the errors. That work also happened by the semantic analysis. That is error recovery methods. So next we are going to discuss specification of type checker. Specification of simple type checker means we are coming from the basics. When we are going to check the type means we are start from the identifiers, because identifier collection of identifiers constant and operator form a expression, the collection of expression form a statement, collection of statement form a program or otherwise functions. Here the statement may be array statement, function or pointer or something else. So we are going to start from the identifier. So each an identifier has a data type. So before we are going to use the data type for a type verification, the variable should be declared. Declare means the variable should be present with the data type. So once the variable is present, that is identifier is present with the data type, means we can check the other construct easily by using the simple type checker. So now in this topic we are going to discuss the four kind of topics. How we are going to check the simple language, expression, statement, otherwise. Next we are going to discuss functions. Consider this is a simple programming CFG, context free grammar. That means program tends to all of you already know that the program can be classified into two statements. One is a declaration statement, another one is a executable statement. Here the declaration statement is given as a D and executable statement given as a E. So program consists of start with a declaration part and continue with number of executable statements. And declaration statement also, each and every declaration statement end with a semicolon and followed by other declaration part. This is a programming example for Pascal program, not a C program. So in this part, the normally in C we are using declaration as a int A. First data type is present and then variable name. But in the Pascal, first variable name is present and then declaration part integer. There is no int in Pascal. We are going to give a complete name integer. So first variable name is present and then we are going to give a data type. In C, the data type is first mentioned and then give a variable list. Super. So this is an example Pascal program. That's why ID semicolon, ID colon and type. A colon type. Type means integer, and end with a semicolon. There is no indication here, so no need. A colon integer is a declaration part of the Pascal language. Next, here the ID means already you know that identifier that should be loaded into the symbol table with all the attributes. But in here we are giving only two data types, character and integer. Character and integer, and other type constructors, array, pointers are there, and the expression may be literal. Literal means here we are going to use only character literals. Character means we are going to, the range of the character is 0 to 128, and we are using numbers. Here number as an integer and the ID, and in this example only we are going to use the modulus operator, E mod E. There is no other operators are permitted because the language CFG is given. Based on this CFG we are going to use only modulus operator. And next, this is a array operator. The first E means array name, second E means the index or otherwise size, that should be integer, and last one E and arrow mark. Here the arrow mark indicates, in Pascal arrow mark indicates pointers. So the pointer declaration is look like this. So once the CFG is given, we are going to write a semantic rules for the verification of the data types. Here this is the semantic rules. First rule is P tends to declaration, otherwise executable part. Second one, declaration may consist of n number of declaration part for each and every data type. Here two numbers of data type is there, character and integer. So based on this we can create n number of declaration part. And D tends to, if the declaration part contains ID, means ID with a declare A colon int. So identifier with the data type. So whenever the compiler encounters these statements, this information should be stored in the symbol table manager. The symbol table manager contains name of the variable, data type, size of the variable, and other informations. So based on this information we can validate the each and every construct, because the basic unit of each and every construct is an identifier. The next, the pointer. Already we told the pointer declared before the usage. So pointer has its own data type. Next we are going to discuss the array. The array has two number of data types, because array declared by any data type, but index and size of the array should be the integer. So based on this we are going to use the translation rules. Next we are going to discuss type checking. Here we are checking first. Already we discussed only for a, in this slide we discussed about only how we are going to create a CFG and how we are going to frame a translation scheme for a symbol language for only two data types. In this slide we are going to discuss how to validate the data type of the expression. I already told that in the given example only two data types are allowed. When the number is given, the number should be an integer. When the literal means is a constant that has a name. Normally the constant does not have a name, but variable has a name. But here the constant follows the two rules, the constant rules as well as variable rules. That kind of name is called as literal. So literal is a name that has a constant. Once the name is declared with any constant, that should not be changed. So in this given grammar, the constant only we can create a constant as a character constant, that is character literal. The number should be an integer because only one number is given. Now come to the identifier. When already we discussed also, when the identifier is executed, that is compiled by a compiler, all the information about enter into the symbol table. Once entered, we can get the information by using the lookup function. Lookup is a function that can get all the information from the identifier about the identifier from the symbol table. Now already we told that only operator used in the given grammar is modulus operator. Modulus operator, we are going to create a rule. There are E1 and E2. The E1 is a left side operand, E2 is a left side operand. The operator is a modulus operator. If it is a modulus operator, it means both E1 and E2 should be an integer, otherwise it informs a type error. Consider, come to the rule. The E type is based on the here. That may valid or otherwise invalid. If it is an invalid, it informs a type error. When it is invalid means the E1 type integer as well as E2 type is integer. Both the operand type is integer because AND operator. Integer means it returns the integer because both operands are integer means the result should be an integer. Otherwise, one of the E1 or otherwise E2 type is maybe other data type. Except integer means other data type than integer means it informs a type error. Type error is not a function. This is also the type expression that informs the information to the compiler that has the problem in a type checking. And next we are going to discuss array. Already we discussed array has two data types. One is a declared data type. One is that's a data type of the index as well as size. So we are going to check whether the index or size of the array should be the integer, but array data type may be anything. So once we validated these rules, that returns the valid data type, otherwise it's not it informs a type error. We are going to check the E1 is a array name, E2 is a size. So E2 type should be an integer. Here the E2 type should be an integer, but E1 type may be anything, that is array of S comma T. S comma T means S is the name of the array, T is the type of the array. Once the size is integer and array has its own type means it returns a T. T means array type. Suppose float A of 10 means 10 should be an integer. Float A of 10 means 10 should be an integer and array type is float. So once this two roles are valid means compiler, that is semantic analysis, return data type as a array data type, that is float. Otherwise it informs a error. When means the size data type of the size may not be a other data types than integer. So after verification both are valid means return the array type, otherwise informs the error. Now come to the pointer. Here this is arrow operator. E tends to E1 arrow operator. Arrow operator indicate pointer types in a Pascal language. So here we no need to verify the other construct because pointer has its own type. So E1 type equal to pointer T. T is the type of the pointer that is already declared. So once the pointer has a type that returns a T. T is a type of the pointer, otherwise it informs a type error. So type error once again remain type error also the type expression, one of the basic type expression. So in this topic the expressions are discussed. How we are going to discuss the basic type and operands with the operator and array operands and also pointer operands. Next we are going to discuss about the type checking of the statements. Already we discussed about the type errors and type checking. Now we are going to discuss how we are going to checking the type of the statements. Here the basic syntax for the statement. S tends to ID equal to E. That means left side operand should be the identifier. Left side always should be the identifier equal to right side may be any expression that contains any operation with any kind of operators that produce a result. If the type of the E and type of the ID is same means there is no problem. The statement data type is a void. void means the both the types are equal. Left side equal to right side. Two data, left side data type and the right side data type is equal means the semantic analysis returns the type as a void. The void means there is no type mismatch in a given statements. Otherwise informs a type error. Now come to the expression. If statement, conditional statement, if statement. Already all of you know that the syntax of the if is if expression then statement. The expression always be a boolean, that may be a 0 or 1. If the expression data type is a boolean, the statement returns S1 type, otherwise it informs the error. Now we are going to check. The S type is based on the E1 type. If E type is boolean, it returns the S1 type. S1 is here, otherwise it informs the error. Here we are going to only check the data type of the expression, that should be a boolean, either 0 or 1. If it is not, it informs the error, otherwise it informs the S1 type, that is a true. While statement also we are using the same concept of if, but it runs multiple times. The same rules as we discussed in the if statement. Next we are going to consider the two kind of statement, two different statements, S1 and S2. Already we discussed the statement rules. If left side type and right side type is equal means the S contains the data type as a void. Same rules we are going to discuss. If S1 equal to void, S2 equal to void. That means in the statement left side and right side data type is equal. If both that means n number of statement S1, S2, S3 all are returns void means your program statements, the data type of your program statement is void. Finally it returns void data type, otherwise informs. So all the statement returns data type as a void means your program has no type mismatch error. So next we are going to discuss type checking of functions. Already we discussed the E open parenthesis, E close parenthesis. The first E is function name, second E is arguments. Consider fun of int A, int B. Here function definition, it consists of n number of statement. In the function definition we are going to receive two kind of parameters, int A and int B. These two kind of parameters are received from the function call fun 10, 20. Consider this is a function call, this is a function definition. So 10 is passed into the A, 20 is passed into the B. So this is 10 and 20 also data type. In this example 10 and 20 is an integer. So value of the integer data type is passed into the function definition for A and B. So A and B should be the integer. So the function call to function definition, that means I to I. So based on the data type of the function call, the receiving parameter should be the same data type from the function call. So this is called as domain. That means here this is a data type T. T1 tends to T2. T1 means in the function call, T2 means in the function definitions. So data type T1 tends to T2 in the function call. So T type equal to T1 type, that means function call tends to T2 type. So based on the function definition, based on the data type of the function call, the data type of the function definition should be defined. So T1 tends to T2. That means once the function receive the same data type from the function call, after executing the all kind of statement inside the function may return the statement to the calling function. So here we are going to use the rule. Function E1 means function name, E2 means arguments. If E type depends on the two type of arguments E1 and E2 type tends to S. S means we are going to get the T1 type. T1 tends to T2 means the T1 and T2 gets the same data type, that is called as S. Though S is a argument as well as parameter, received parameters. Once S is received, the E2 is a argument type, E1 is a function. So once S is received, E1 type tends to E1 type equal to S tends to T. That means after receiving arguments, we should perform all the statement inside the method. Once the function is completed, where we executed all the statement inside the function, means the function may return the statement, that is a return statement, that is the type of the function. Suppose the function return the int means the declaration, that is definition, is called as int. This may be any argument, n number of statements. Suppose I return 10. So once I return 10 means this is a function, this is a data type. So function data type should be derived from the return statement. So return statement return the integer value means function data type is integer. Return data type is double means the data type of the function is double. So based on the return type, this may be different. So S is a function arguments and T is a data type of the function. Finally the T is written because T is a function of the data type of the function, otherwise it informs the error. So in this statement we discussed how we are going to validate the function data types. Next we are going to discuss how we are going to perform the type conversion. Type conversion means conversion of one data type into another data type automatically by the compiler is called as type conversion. Because all of you know that most probably compiler convert the lower data type into higher data type based on the left side operand. Suppose A equal to 10 plus 20.6. 20.6 is a float variable, 10 is an integer variable. This expression should return, the right side expression should return, the type of the expression should be a float, because 20.6 is a float variable, that is the highest data type in a expression. 10 is the integer. So first the 10 is converted into the highest data type, that means 10.0. 10.0 is added with the 20.6 to produce a 30.6 as a result. So right side expression should be converted into the higher data type by the compiler, and based on the left side operand, that is identifier, the identifier data type may decide the right side expression. First the expression is converted into float data type. If A is a float data type, 30.6 is loaded into the A. But even the A may be any data type, the right side should be converted into the floating operands. If it is A is a float means easily store the 30.6 into A. Now consider A is a integer means that is a problem. The right side is a floating result, but left side is an integer operand. So 0.6 is deleted, 30 may be loaded. In some other languages, no result will be loaded, that is 0 will be loaded into A because type mismatch error. So you may lose the floating point numbers or otherwise whole number when we are converting the higher data type into lower data type. So most probably the compiler convert the lower data type into higher data type to avoid the data loss. So this concept is called as type conversions. This is a verification. Once in a right side expression, consider two operand A and B. Any operation we are going to perform A and B and store the result into C. If A and B is an integer means the result should be an integer. If any one of the operand is float means, or two operand is a float means, the result will be a float operands. E1 float, E2 integer means result is a float. And once again integer and float, result is a float. Float and float, result is a float. only the integer and integer contains a integer result as an integer, otherwise the all the results should be a floating operation. So compiler always convert the lower data type into higher data type. Next we are going to discuss coercion. This same as the type conversion. What is type conversion means? The compiler automatically convert the one data type into another data type, means that is a type conversion. Here we are going to add one more point, that is coercion means the type conversion is performed automatically by the compiler without the programmer intervention and also without any data loss. That is called as coercion, or otherwise it is called as implicit conversion. So that is already we discussed. Without any data loss we can convert, that is compiler can convert one data type into another data type, that kind without any programmer's intervention. Programmer no need to perform any type conversion operations. This is happened, that is performed by the compiler itself. So this kind of type conversion is called as coercion. This is also one of the important 2 more question. So coercion is a type conversion performed automatically by the compiler without the programmer intervention and without any data loss. So this is also called as implicit type conversion, because that is performed by the compiler, not by the programmer. If type conversion is performed by the programmer, means that is called as explicit conversion. The conversion is said to be explicit if the programmer must write something to the cause of conversion. That is called as explicit, that is done by the programmer. Implicit means that is done by the compiler. This is an example already we discussed. Your based on your operands the result may be different. Both operands are integer, means the return value is integer. Any one of the operand is float, means the return result as a float. In our before that there are 3 rules are defined in a grammar. One is a E tends to number, means only number without any dot operator, that is integer. The number dot number, integer number dot integer number, means that is real, that is float operator. In Pascal there is no float data type, that is a real. The ID means already we discussed. We are going to use a lookup, because we are going to use a lookup function, because that is a function that gets all the information, particularly the type information from the symbol table about the identifiers. So now today we discussed type checking chapter. In this topic we discussed type system and simple type checker. So these are the topics are performed by the semantic analyzer. The main important function of main component of semantic analysis is type checking, and also validate the meaning of the each and every construct in a programs. Okay, thank you students. If you have any doubts, message me or call me.